Christian Bale is a fucking fantastic actor who's been widely lauded by critics for the, frankly, heroic amount of effort he puts into portraying every character he's tasked with playing. Something that ironically resulted in Bale's co-stars in the film American Psycho assuming he was a bad actor because they didn't realise he was method acting and was staying in character as a sociopathic serial killer for the entirety of production. Something that saw the director of the film openly and positively compare Bale to a robot. So nearby Lulu, are you aware of the reputation Christian Bale has for just completely and utterly throwing himself into every role he plays?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you just look at his filmography and the difference, and then just how he looks, like, you know, the famous one, The Machinist, versus like, what was it?
Bateman,
American...
straight after. Yeah, so if the easiest way to tell how committed Christian Bale is to his roles is to just look at the physical transformation he makes to embody the characters he plays. And that led to a great theory online that Christian Bale did steroids to get in shape to play Batman. Something that is immediately countered by the fact Christian Bale is a method actor and Batman doesn't use steroids, so Christian Bale wouldn't either.
So now if he was Bane...
If he was Bane, yeah, he would have got fucking stonked out on them steroids. Believe it or not, folks at home, and you nearby Lulu, Christian Bale insists that he is not a method actor, despite employing all the traits of a method actor, and in fact insists that every time he steps onto a film set, he, and I quote, wings it. And that is just so unbelievable given the amount of prep work he supposedly does to embody his character. He's like, no, I'll wing it.
I wonder if that's like almost like insulting to other people. It's like, who admit that they actually try really hard for their roles and still don't do as well as Christian Bale can in roles.
And he's like, no, I'm just winging it.
So how did Leonardo DiCaprio feel for all those years?
It's also worth pointing out that Christian Bale has no formal training in acting whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
He's never received any acting training.
So even though he doesn't necessarily consider himself a method actor, he's still really good at embodying his roles.
And that's one of the reasons why Christian Bale was the only choice the director of American Psycho, Mary Harron, had for Patrick Bateman. She knew how good an actor he was, and the studio did not want to cast Bale. It's like, well, why are you hiring this dude? Like, Leonardo DiCaprio's right here. Let's get Leonardo DiCaprio to play him. And the director's like, no, I've seen Bale work. I know he can do this. And Bale was convinced he was going to get the role and turned down multiple other offers for work and instead spent the entirety of pre-production working out and tanning himself. And he even went as far as to get veneers put over his teeth. He just lived as Patrick Bateman for the entirety of the time. And when I say he lived as Patrick Bateman, I don't mean he went out and he killed people. I mean that he adopted the public face that Bateman does in the film, which is just that faux veneer of friendliness that's just somewhat unnerving. And yes, I know everyone in the comments, it was directly inspired by an interview Christian Bale saw with Tom Cruise. Because that's the fact everybody knows about his performance as Patrick Bateman, that he watched a Tom Cruise interview and just noted that there's this intense friendliness with nothing behind the eyes, which I think just describes both Tom Cruise and Patrick Bateman. But that's the thing everybody knows about it. And if I don't mention it, someone in the comments goes, I can't believe you didn't mention he was inspired by Tom Cruise. It's like, well, everybody knows that. I've been on Reddit, I've seen it. I'm sorry about that, folks, it's one thing it gets to me. And you've seen this, haven't you? Of
yes.
Anisha, with the amount of effort we put in, research-wise, you behind the scenes and you're doing extra fact-checking and stuff like that. You no doubt come across the most well-known facts about stuff, don't you? Yeah. And then you'll put in a fact bar, or sometimes we just leave it out. Everybody knows this. The thing about Patrick Bateman being inspired by Tom Cruise. If you've been on the internet, you've seen that story, but there'll be people out there I can't believe you didn't mention this. Because you already know. And I'm always baffled that people watch these videos and get annoyed that we don't tell them something they already knew. I can't believe you didn't tell me something I already knew. And then when we do that, we have someone complain in the comments, why are you saying that? Everyone already knows that. It's like, you can't win! Anyway.
You good?
I'm good. I need to get that out. But bringing it back to Bale's performance as Bateman, according to Christian Bale himself, no one working at the time was really familiar with the idea of method acting, and he was approached many years after the fact by people he worked on in that film saying, I thought you were a terrible actor when we worked together on American Psycho. This is one thing, they said it to his face. And he was really confused about this because he thought he did a really good job and evidently did an amazing job because it's one of his best performances. He maintained that Patrick Bateman facade the entire time they were making the film. And there was just some really great tiny moments where you just see that drop. And it's the instant no eyes are on Bateman, you see his facade drop. And I think one that's been singled out recently is the laundromat scene where the lady's talking to him. It's like, oh, thank you so much. I hope you can take care of that. And at the instant she turns up, the instant their eye line breaks, you see his face drop. You see, he no longer needs to be Patrick Bateman. He can go back to being what he is inside. It's just a 1 second scene.
I'll call you.
Okay. Do.
And there's so many like little things they did throughout that film to just maintain that feeling of uneasiness. Like, do you ever seen where it's him and Willem Dafoe just talking?
Yeah.
And it's like one of the best scenes in the film, and it's all over the place tonally. That's because they told Willem Dafoe, okay, I want you to do one take where you definitely think Christian Bale did it, or Patrick Bateman, you definitely think Bateman did it. Another one where you suspect that he might have something to do with it. And another one where you have no idea, you think he's just a guy who works at his office. And they took that footage and they spliced it all together.
People just disappear.
Earth just opens up and swallows them.
Eerie. Really eerie.
And I think that's an incredible choice because during that scene, you as a viewer, like feel like Bateman, where you don't quite know what the reality is.
Yeah.
Because it shifts literally between cuts.
It really does. And like I think it also speaks to how good of an actor Dafoe is and stuff like that, and the way he's able to emote that so differently. It's just it's creepy. It's all those little things that just it's creepy.
Yeah, it's two phenomenal actors just talking.
Talking about this, though, makes me realize Jared Leto had an up-close view of what masterful method acting looks like.
Yeah, and fucked it up. That's
just
me.
massively fucked it up so badly.
Like, he got up close and personal with one of the greatest character actors alive today and saw him playing a sociopathic murderer who can flip like that. I never even thought of it. Oh, that's such a good point. Like, Jared Leto had the perfect opportunity to see what a complete psychopath looks like when it's played by a great actor, and he fucked it up!
How many times would they have, like, done that scene?
The fire axe
like,
scene.
the famous scene. Like, actually, you know what? It's not even the famous scene in that movie. There's so many iconic bits from that movie.
I think it's more just a screenshot of him just like... it's just, hey! Boo!
Hey, Paul!
And I think the one thing that sums up Bale's performance is the fact that he was reportedly able to do things on command people working on the film thought were literally physically impossible for somebody to do on command.
Like, what?
So have you ever heard that thing about acting where the two hardest things to fake are laughter and crying?
Yeah.
And it's generally one of the things that it's the sign of a good actor is they can cry convincingly on command. Bale can do one better because he can sweat on command. Do you know that during the business card scene where it's like him just looking at like 4 identical business cards and you see Patrick Bateman just get increasingly flustered by it because he's furious that their business cards are better than his, even though they look the same. And then like the final one comes as like vice president on it and you just see him. I can't do what he does, but you just see it just like that really slow pull into his eyes and just he starts sweating. Just like the flop sweat.
Something wrong? Patrick? You're sweating.
And I would argue it'd be impressive if Christian Bale could just do that once, but according to the director, they filmed that scene multiple times to get multiple takes of all the action. And according to her, every single time Bale was required to just sweat in just fury. Well, look at that, he did it every time.
Oh my God.
Without any sort of preparation, without needing to be told to. Just when he needed to sweat, he fucking started sweating. I can't even imagine that. Like, how do you sweat? How do you have such control? Like, the thing is though, that's something that sounds like something that Batman can do. Because when we do, I think we did the Wiki Weekends on Batman, it's like, oh, he has such control over his body, you can control like his body temperature and all that bollocks because he studied with monks. Christian Bale can do that in real life.
I'm just thinking about him at a party. It's like, oh, what can you do? I can sweat. Watch this.
I can sweat on command.
Watch me get damp.
It's so weird though, because that's the thing. Like, he does that multiple times throughout the film. And it led to Harrod referring to as robo-actor. Like, not in a negative way, like in a positive way, because like he literally did everything required of him exactly as required on command every single time. Sweating. I've just got the picture of him. He's so fucking moist. Just look at him. He's so moist. But like, look as well. Like, this is. I've got just some pictures. Like, this is the same film. He looks so different. Like, even in between scenes, like, his demeanor and therefore like, the way he's like viewed completely changes. It's amazing. It's like though, just the little details, like the fact that he hasn't just got an axe that he caves people's head in with. He's got an axe that he's polished to a mirror sheen so he can check his teeth. It's like just that is a level of like just dedication I respect.